What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about M. Night Shyamalan's new thrilling experience, Trap. This story follows a father and his teen daughter attending a pop concert only to realize that they've entered into the center of a dark and sinister event. I really like how the marketing team has labeled this as the new M. Night Shyamalan experience. So is this it? Is this the thriller that is going to put him back on the map? Probably not. From producing, writing, and directing, I don't think M. Night Shyamalan has eclipsed his last critically acclaimed and box office success, which was Split. It's not that his movies have been terrible, like in the vein of The Happening or The Last Airbender, but he just has a lot of great ideas, a lot of great pitches that they really swing for the fences really hard. Thrillers have always been a genre he's very well known for, and as experimental as he could be, I think it's a little unfair with how much expectations come from the audience and how they trick themselves in the brain to think that he's going to deliver some kind of outstanding plot twist that is going to please the audience. And with the movie like Trap, I think that it's safe to say that it's best to go in without having that kind of expectation that is going to pay everything off at the end. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are plot reveals, but if you're hoping for some kind of redeeming viewing experience that will finally make you a fan of M. Night Shyamalan and will knock your socks off the way that The Sixth Sense did back in the day, you're going to be terribly disappointed. And I really think that it's unfair and really unfortunate that Shyamalan is always expected to live up to these standards for every movie that he's passionate about making, for every movie that he's putting out on the big screen. I mean, majority of these films are self-financed by himself. And anybody who did back him up and try to probably finance him, he pitched the story of what if The Silence of the Lambs happened during a Taylor Swift concert? And what if we were under the perspective of the serial killer instead of our heroes for a change? I mean, after watching this movie and reading a lot of mixed reviews, I feel a little bit conflicted. I mean, yes, it's a far-fetched plot, and a lot of things that come into play here probably do not happen in reality or have a slim chance in happening. And a lot of it is plot convenience after plot convenience, but I mean, you signed up for an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Not everything really stays grounded, am I right? And I know I said this in my Knock at the Cabin review, but I think this must be the most straightforward M. Night Shyamalan movie I've ever seen. I still remember when the first trailer came out and everybody in the movie community was just starting to take their guesses at what the plot twist could possibly be. I mean, was it a shared universe like how Split was to Unbreakable, and then they made Glass to where Haley Joel Osment, his character from The Sixth Sense, was working with the FBI to help catch the butcher? Or I mean, maybe Josh Hartnett was playing a different killer and the real butcher was in the concert amongst them and he just wanted to find a way to get out before he gets discovered. Cooper, aka the Butcher, is our villain protagonist, played by none other than Josh Hartnett, and he is the reason you should see this movie, and I'm just happy that he's having a resurgence in Hollywood. As a 90s kid, I was very fond of his horror films like Halloween H2O, The Faculty, 30 Days of Night, and many more, and I just thought it was really interesting that he landed a leading role as a villain, and I'm just so stoked because it is a complete 180 from all of his earlier pretty boy roles. He plays such a charming father with the quirkiest attitude that it's a little difficult to root against him, especially given the information of his true nature. And as the tensions rise and a stadium full of people begin to feel smaller, I felt a little biased. I mean, did I want him to get caught? Did I want him to get away? This demeanor, this mask that he puts on is very charming at first, almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. And you really begin to see the cracks, the pressure in the way that he's maneuvering around security, police, and the way that the SWAT is just surrounding the venue. And as they close in on him, it's almost like a rat in a maze. And you get to see what he's thinking, see what he's trying to anticipate, whether he could create another distraction or make a clean exit. He does go back and forth with the daughter in order to keep the facade genuine, and at the same time, it's a little heartbreaking because a lot of his actions win her over and some are mostly a ploy. And she does address a lot of the situations that he's kind of wary about. You know, he's the way that he's behaving, the questions he would bring up, the things that he would say. You know, she's not dumb. She really picks up on it and really calls him out on it, asks the right questions. As a writer, as a storyteller, I do respect M. Night's ability to show so little, but to make the implications just as effective. For example, the butcher is described to be as precise and very violent, but we never ever get to see Cooper commit the act. I mean, what we get is the dad cringy energy, the calculative thinker and sociopathic manipulator at face value. The implications are all there where the audience understands the evil that is put in front of them without visual aid. And I just think that's Shyamalan genius. Don't get me wrong, we do get to see Josh Hartnett unravel a little bit, but in the end, it is not really a violent film. Moving on to my mixed to negative opinions. Now, it is very gutsy to have a movie based around a concert where the pop star's track list has to be just as enjoyable for the audience as it is to the fans in the movie. Now, Lady Raven, who all these characters are showing up to the stadium to see, is played by none other than M. Night's daughter, Salika Shyamalan. And not only did she inhabit the role of a pop icon, but she actually wrote the lyrics and performed them herself. And little did I realize, up until I was writing this review, I find out that she is actually a real pop star, a musician that is on the rise. Her father gave her the opportunity to be in the spotlight and showcase her talents, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the songs ain't that bad. But to be honest, I felt like the nepotism was really heavy-handed, especially when the movie really diverted its focus from the story to focus on the concert itself. And we have one of the vendors that Cooper befriends and asks all the questions to, Jamie, and this guy broke all the rules and risked security safety, from tipping off the butcher to having the guy hold onto his box cutter. I mean, that's one way to handle exposition and plot device, but it made the character feel so unrealistically gullible. There was a stupid amount of law enforcement that was crawling all over this venue for just this one event. It felt like The Dark Knight Rises all over again. Like, what is every single one of them doing there? And with the amount of close calls that Cooper runs into, especially with his weird behavior, I am just surprised. Not one single piece of authority stopped him or interrogated him or decided to pat him down and pull him away. And also, going back to Riley, the daughter, she was with Hartnett for most of the runtime, and I was just a little bummed out that when we got to the third act, she didn't make much of an emotional impact. She was kind of benched and kind of forgotten. 2/3 of the movie does a really great job at keeping a lot of the suspense and airtight atmosphere at a chokehold, and then the third act makes some interesting choices as to overstay its welcome and strain the plot along for 20 minutes longer. Lady Raven immediately plays a much bigger role, which feels unearned, but it still held my attention to where this could possibly trail off to. I mean, kudos for M. Night Shyamalan for being a loving father and giving his daughter more to do in the later half, but at the same time, they were trying so hard to wrap everything up in a flash with all of the results that we're given and try to entice a harrowing finale after one harrowing finale. I mean, I respect the opportunities to subvert expectations, but the way that they got to the ending was very messy. Overall, this was a diabolical, enthralling, and also slightly frustrating nail-biter. It fits right at home with the smaller scale thrillers of the 90s. I don't think that this is Shyamalan's year to make a big comeback, but I am always entertainingly pleased with a lot of the stories that he has to share. Josh Hartnett alone is the price of admission. Well, alright guys, that's all I get to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want. I'm Jaren Agbanawag. I want to thank you guys again for taking some time out of your day to hear me talk some movies. Look forward to more reviews, and I will see you guys at the theater. Take care.